I hope you're having an amazing day. My name is Colin, and in this video we're going to have a look at my 5 main picks for the end of this year, the fourth quarter of 2024 crypto market. As of right now, Bitcoin is performing quite well. The last month we can see a proper linear upward trend after, let's say, a little bit of a turbulent period here, which was the basically beginning of September, and now a little bit of an increase. So what I've done over this weekend is basically reflect on my current holdings to see if we're going into the US elections on November 5th with some confidence. I mean, I'm still quite confident on my holdings, the biggest holdings being Ethereum on 1, then Bitcoin on 2, and Solana on 3. I will not go into that too much because I don't really stay up to date at all, not even for Solana, on the ongoing developments. It's just more the news that I hear. It's very little research of my own. However, in other ecosystems, I do put in some significant time and effort to understand. Not all of the tokens I will show you today have these relevant components. The first one being IMX, immutable, right? So this entry goes way back, as you might have seen in my previous videos, right, where it's not even at a point where it would be interesting for me to exit. Did amazingly well in the 2021 bull run. Taking into consideration at $1.55, I compare not necessarily market caps, as almost fully diluted, 20% left. It's a $2.5 billion market cap with 3.1 billion FTV. So I like to compare the FTVs to get a proper indication of what we're actually working with. In this case, we're looking at, let's say, $9 all-time high. So let's say times 7-ish, what we're currently at. So 21 billion, very insane, obviously, euphoric state of the market, right? Went as low as basically 50 cents, right? So which was a 1 billion FTV. Holding up really strong. We can see basically all the major exchanges from Binance, Coinbase, Bybit, OKX, Upbit even in the list. Now, the interesting component on IMX is that they've kind of adjusted, according to myself, for this year their vision, where initially it was very much focused, let's say 2021, 2022, on boarding the biggest players, getting brand awareness, to, of course, they got the immutable passport now, to doing mass integrations on their immutable CKEVM chain, right, which is the partnership with Polygon, to be able to present that. Now, the immutable passport is basically this gamer tag login that they use, store data, SDK behind it for projects to basically integrate and operate efficiently. Now, there are literally at the moment dozens and dozens and dozens of projects using this tech stack to be able to facilitate the blockchain technology in their games and the interoperability of assets, right, blockchain assets. You can see a certain quality in all these games. It's not AAA, but at the same time, it's definitely a pivot in strategy, going for more reach, more quantitative approach than a quality approach. Am I for this? I mean, what I'm definitely pro is taking the capitalization of markets route, which is usually quantitative once you have established a presence, right, which Immutable has. However, getting to a conglomerate level of this size, meaning that, let me see where I used to be able to see on CoinMarketCap right here where the ranking is. Maybe I'm just too much of a newbie to know where it is at the moment, but I can check it in the main lines. Number 38, right? So 38 top currency at the moment based on the market cap, right? So in that case, obviously it's doing extremely well, has done extremely well. There were some questions last year in regards to insolvency, big Web2 raise, I think like 400 million, definitely leading the charge in terms of, let's say, crypto adoption, how they go to work. Obviously, I've worked with Immutable with several projects, very good customer support, but depending on the quality of the project, applying the service level difference. This is normal. At the end of the day, they're still a business, right? So personal, in my work life, good experiences with them. As an investor, also interesting components, I would say, very different point of view, right? Maybe we can go to the website and have actually a quick look on what it actually looks like. So see, they pitch Passport first and foremost, where we previously had more game assets here. So I think this has to do with Illuvium. I don't know any of the other games, to be fair, just on the images alone. I would like to see the stack. So you see, it all evolves in a very nice website like this, floating around. Okay, Whack Me Games, obviously Superverse, I know, Blocklords, I know, Mama Guru. Alright, just moving around. Okay, then Culture Project. Okay, very lean website, right? Can we go into, okay, so here you basically have the overview, and you can really see that the core here of IMX, the substance is tech, right? They provide tech. You got the passport, the checkout, order book and marketplace, minting, trading. However, now when we go into the actual, let's say, NFT marketplace and immutable, it's dead, right? Nothing much going on. This should be driven in terms of adoption by Web2 projects, right, where they use Passport and the SDK is just a layer below the game, and the game as the main driver. For Web3 products, we haven't really seen too much success. There might be the odd mint here and out, and then 6 months later it just dies off, right? So nothing too crazy there. The interest for me is basically back to the token. Let's say an average entry of anywhere between $1 and $2 over the last year and a half or so, right? Never really been in proper profit. Maybe this period right here, earlier this year, February, March, was about $3. At the moment, still sitting at half of that value. The size of the project makes it unlikely, gaming positioning, right? Longevity, unlikely to go bust. Now it's crypto, so you never really know, right? But I would say it's reasonable for a project of this size, when the market does enter that euphoric state, to reach at least that point of, let's say, $5 again, which I would be very happy with, right? No need for unrealistic components. But what you'll see from my future lineup, it's something I want to explain, which is my main thesis, right? So whether it's projects that I'm referring to, like Super, you know, even the Echelon Prime, the Wayfinder Foundation, all these components, IMX, right? It's basically tech at the core. That's my choice, which is boring, right? Tech, very ugly tech. And then they have assets that are built around it, right? Assets that interlink. And basically what happens is, these are arrows pointing inside, right? Some initial value goes outside to support a project, and that is then being pulled inside when they start building. So this might be marketing, promotion, project is right here, right? And then that might happen, you know, like IMX, like they did it with a dozen projects. It took them a year. Once they found the blueprint, they just rinse and repeat that. So that value keeps going more and more to the inside, which means that the value of the overall ecosystem, right, and that's definitely how IMX presents it as well here. You see IMX in the middle, all these other brands, games, tech partners around it, right? What happens is, if you're building on that tech, you need to utilize that tech. The appreciation of the asset here grows because it has more value, whether that's equity valuation resembled in the token side or straight utility token adoption, governance, right? More usage means 99% of the time appreciation in that regard. And this is basically from Web2 fundamentals on how tech companies operate, right? More data, more interoperability, again, skills, all focused on skill. Obviously, these plays are high risk, high reward. So once you get out of the trenches, all of a sudden it becomes a lot more interesting. So IMX, boring, I would say. I don't really keep too much up to date on what they're up to, just basically on quarterly updates and headlines from what I'm seeing. And that kind of goes the same hand in hand with Beam. So this was obviously before Merit Circle, before they migrated to a chain, right, on Beam. So loading, pretty cool website. Click anywhere to continue. Quite nostalgic overview. Not really, I would say, too interesting. They got the bridge, the hub, swap. I don't really do too much on Beam. Overall, I would say it's more the marketing driven narrative, how quickly they came to market, and the general progression on how things have been going, right? It's been pretty quiet, I would say, over the last 3 months. If we take a look comparison into the token price, we can see that all-time high was around here, sitting at 4.2, so that's about 2.2 billion, 2.3 billion FEV already on Binance as well, up bit by bit. OKX is missing from the list, I believe. Yep. Coinbase is also missing. So there's some room for growth, but I mean, if you're on Binance, secure the right positioning. Now, overall with Beam, I would just say this is one of the more consistent projects. Again, substance-wise, do I keep massively up to date with it? No, because it's still a chain, it's still boring, right? They refer to themselves as a software network focused on gaming, brought to you by Merit Circle, right? And the Merit Circle. That is kind of why I made that play. Still a significant entry, still again, infrastructure, but this feels more like the IMX out of 21 than it does at the IMX today. I don't think they're relatively comparable. However, the interesting component is that Beam does have quite an interest in terms of the amount of games building there. However, it appears from my personal experience that the support is not that great, right? Can be quite hands-on, but inconsistent. And from the chain, obviously, I understand if you have dozens and dozens of projects that want to build in your chain, you can't all offer them a personalized experience, but this just will perhaps hurt the onboarding of new projects on the chain. So yeah, a little bit boring, and this might be a pattern when it comes to all the tech, but not for the next one. So where I want to go with Beam, before we hop on to the next project, is basically 1 billion FTV at the moment. I got in just below this, right? I got in Beam way in the beginning because I swapped my Merit Circle, which I had quite a bit, well, so I swapped my Merit Circle, it wasn't even that much of a bag, and then I topped it up straight away, but that was like completely in the beginning. So it wasn't this low of a price, I think it was like 0.07 actually, around this level, which was quite good. I've been sitting on it for a long time, right? I was really happy when like it pumped, maybe not this one, yeah, it pumped here. I was really happy. So you can see it's quite far from that level still, but it's still sitting in a healthy profit, you know, with like a 50K entry at that time, you know, it's good money. So definitely a good position to be in. 1 bill FTV at the moment. Same thing, probably like if it reaches this level, this was like in a little bit of a bullish market, right? So it is 4, and that would be like 2.5 bill. So probably like 4 bill, I would be really happy. But probably if it reaches this point again, I might just say like, hey guys, bull run over for me for Beam. Let me just take a step back, because the tech is not as advanced. And what will happen, obviously, if there's no follow through, perhaps, so what happens if it does run, right? In a more euphoric state of the market, I don't think they will be able to uphold that FTV. Like no project will, like it will crash indefinitely, usually 90% down, right, in a bear market. But at the same time, you don't really want to, you know, add more risk to that, if you know what I mean. Then probably my number one pick, my absolute favorite, we have here, so we got on Prime, we got the Coinbase, Bybit, no Binance. We do have Kraken, which is quite unique. No OKX, no Upbit. We do have Crypto.com. So you see quite a US focused pattern here. We got Kraken, we got Crypto.com, we got Coinbase, no Binance, no OKX, not even a KuCoin there. So the APAC region is quite isolated there, sitting at about a 1 billion FTV, right? All-time high, definitely a lot higher, almost 3 billion FTV. Like I said in my previous videos, I might wish I had sold at this point, but sometimes it goes like this. Probably one of my favorite projects, one of my bigger bags, and that's just basically on the ongoing development. So you got the Prime Foundation, you got Prime, Parallel, the Colony game, right? Wiki, the marketplace. Overall, this will require a significant amount of research if you want to go into this project. Probably we should do that in a separate video. It's probably one of my favorite things to cover because I made the entry with like a base level understanding of what it actually is, but every time I read up on it, there's so much to go here. You got the Wayfinder Foundation I referred to earlier, creating more and more opportunities for the Prime token. They are heavy, obviously, on their parallel trading card game, one of the most played by like Hearthstone competitive players. So the adoption is very, very good, right? The development on the token side are continuous. Very, very strong community from the NFT side to the token side, strong partnerships all around. So continuously, I feel like over the last 6-9 months, I've been very impressed with this team. After my initial entry, I didn't really follow it. To be fair, the last couple of months, I've also not followed it. It's really been the last 2 weeks. And the Wayfinder Foundation announcement is from like a month or two ago, I believe. It was sent to me by somebody June 6th, so that's already like 4 months ago. This was sent to me, and then I did read up on it, but it basically has to do with like the staking component for Prime utility, basically granting you access to other tokens. Overall, really, really strong. Going from basically tech foundation to basically, obviously, Parallel is, you can see it's very high tech, right? You got free to play, all the other components of the game, how to play it, and the amount of people playing it, the cards, the NFT trading volume. These are components of what I would say, a potential Web2 adoption product, right? All the indicators go from Epic Games, TikTok, all the communities are significant, and the overall potential here is so much higher. Now, of course, they raised a lot of money, don't get me wrong, right? Specifically on the NFT side, I'm very much aware, but at the same time, I'm just very impressed by how it all came together and how consistent it is, right? It is very much focused on the game, less on the speculation of assets, which I think is always a good thing. I thought it had caching. Overall, looking back, I would be extremely happy. So my entry here was actually also a good one. It was a little bit early, end of last year. It wasn't, maybe here? Somewhere here. You can see one of my previous videos. I think it was like in this uptrend where I made my entry, or maybe on this dip. But I made it in time at least for this rally. So I'm still up, but not as up obviously as we were here. But high hopes for Prime coming in the next run. One of my favorite tokens that I will definitely highlight in the next week or so as a standalone project, basically as a deep dive. Now, when we go to something like Pixels, obviously this is still big, right? Almost 700 million FDV. Was a lot bigger, and when I say a lot bigger, I mean a lot bigger. We were talking like 4 billion FDV after the launch. Binance listing, OKX, Huobi, Gate, MEXC, Crypto.com, large variety of great exchanges, right? Now, when we go to the actual website, the gameplay, it's consistent, has a large user base. Obviously, the leading game on the Ronin, and what you'll see is that I have Ronin right here on my list as well. But other than that, I think it comes more like the speculative side has kind of disappeared, and it's more now in an adoption metric, where we're really looking at what can we expect for the consistency and the growth for Pixels, right? Where does it go next in terms of, perhaps regaining some of that value, because it is 75% down, obviously vesting, right? Take into consideration only 22% circulating supply. When we go to other tokens, we're here 32%, we're here 80%, and we're here also 80%. So more releases to come, specifically towards investors, the more fluctuant the price will be, and there's some more potential risk, right? Pixels, however, being perhaps into the simplicity of what it actually is, the great launch, you can see it not too significant. I mean, good cap table, but very small, right, on display, and obviously very focused on the actual gameplay. You know, the amount of users that they brought into that TGE was overwhelming. You can see very much focused on the gameplay. Obviously, the token is not live, right? So it's all about getting more users, new experiences, playtime, adaptability over time. Yeah, not too interesting for me. I don't like these style of games, but obviously what I like is the amount of sheer numbers that they had. Now these numbers, don't get me wrong, don't compare them with, let's say, Telegram games and the numbers that are now being pulled. Telegram games, you're looking at like 100, 250, 500,000 in the first week, right? At the same time, these type of games had these type of users, maybe let's say 150,000 daily active users, without, you know, the botting. These are actual games that are being played. Although it's mobile, it's still extremely impressive, and this is like the top 0.1% of crypto gaming, right? That's be able to pull off these numbers. If you look at the engagement, right, it's not terrible, it's not great, but for basically pushing a live stream, getting 17,000 impressions, getting some good activity on it, yeah, it's great. It's not botted to hell, right? It's just consistent, good quality, and I do think we'll see an uptrend. Do I think it will reach, you know, maybe that all-time high again? I mean, that's a long jump to go, right? We also have to be realistic. I know everybody here is always like, oh, let's do 100x, let's do 100x. If this does 100x, we're sitting at like over 60 billion market cap. It's not going to happen, right? But what can happen is at least aim for the previous all-time high based on sentiment, right? There was like 680 million volume, still doing significant volumes due to Binance, but 680 million in volume is definitely something else, right? We need to do like an 8x from here. So probably getting back at the 3 billion FDV would be good. Fortunately, my bank is not that significant. I do know I got in at 35 cents. So it used to be bigger. So I did take some money out when it was it here, 50 cents. I think it was actually here somewhere. So the money was also not significant. That was the profit. But after that, I had a bag that I bought at like 35 cents, and that's obviously all the way down. So probably the profits have disappeared, and it's now still sitting at a loss. Fortunately, the bag is not significant. I just wanted to highlight this. It's a big project, has a lot of users, a lot steadier bet. And this is what you will see kind of across the board on my picks. As again, I know it's like tech, still on the gaming side for most components, but it's more boring, high FDVs, matured coins, you know, 2, 3, 4 X's perhaps, not so much the 20 X's. Here another good example on Superverse, right? Relatively stable throughout the bear market, almost a dead coin, sitting at around the same level. Now trending up a little, works a little bit. Variety of rebrands being done, you know, from Superfarm to Superverse, Gaming United, of course Elliott Trades leading it. There's not much information. I'm not an insider on this one. I don't really follow it, but it's a chain, yet it partners with IMX, yet it partners with Beam, other chains, block lords, a lot of games available. So I would say, here we go, like decentralization, Superverse DAO, right, which like participate in a staking pool, govern basically, product fees such as Imposters, which is like a game by Elio, which also has very little updates. Super being integrated, or at least little updates. I haven't checked on it since the mint, which I made a lot of money in 21 on that mint. After that, kind of like forgot about it, and I just haven't seen it pop up. And if it doesn't pop up in my feed or nobody sends it to me, it must mean nothing is going on, because I get a lot of projects over my desk each day. Super is being integrated into leading Web3 games. Okay, but I want to know what it's integrating. This enables a project to seamlessly share users and liquidity. Fragment, okay, chance of mainstream success. Not really that clear what it actually is that the tech does. evolving into its own chain, designed integrations. Okay, more info coming soon. Yeah, so they got the integration with MacMe, which is building IMX, Gilded Guardians, which is IMX, Nine Heroes, Moon Tropic, I don't know, Endless Clouds, Avalon, which is like one I'm really excited about, Blocklord, Sidus, a lot of IMX games, Shrapnel, Wilder World, Metalcore, Off the Grid, My Pet Hooligan. Yeah, and other than that, not much information, you know, a very cultish community as well, right? They all love what they're doing. Okay, staking seems very simple. Yeah, I mean, the only reason again that I'm involved is big KOL leading the narrative, a guy that shills into the bull run, right? Token does well whenever the market does well. So it's a secure bet. Doesn't mean I'm hating on the tech. I just don't know what it's about. Is that bad? Probably. I should probably know a little bit more about it for the amount of money I have in this project. But I mean, most of these projects, 80% of these projects I really like. So that's a good indicator, right? I would like to know the substance of how they integrate and what's actually behind it. But as basically degens, we can all look at this chart and not be mad. You know, it's only 32% down compared to the total, still holding at a 1 billion FDV on Binance. So although the substance might lack, you know, it's a good pick for me for that variety of reasons. Now, kind of ties in with Ronin, which I would compare Superverse, or at least what you're trying to do, Beam with Ronin. So IMX, you have like 3-4 comparable components there. Ronin obviously different, out of Sky Mavis, rising from the success of Axie Infinity, having a lot of resources at their disposal, 1.6 billion FDV. Binance here at the top, OKX, big names. When we're looking at Ronin, right, more isolated, focused, I would say perhaps less projects, more significance. You know, Echelon, which I had on the channel many times in 2021, took a long time to come to market, but the quality is there. The users at Pixel, obviously they brought their own Axie Infinity in various game modules. Wild Forest, I don't know. Duet Monsters, I don't know. The Machines Arena, okay, they have quite a lineup, but all of these games I don't know. Something probably for me to explore, Fightly, if I do know. And then of course Echelon, I do know Frank really well out of 21. But the volumes, they speak for themselves. So I would say this is also a more matured chain, very healthy foundation, a lot of potential. You can see things happening, you can see the substance. I feel like this is lacking with Superverse, this is lacking with Beam, but Beam is still young. Superfarm, before Superverse, has been around a long time. And when I say a long time, don't get me wrong, like this is basically out of 21, right? So basically early 21, and I think maybe even before then, Superfarm was rebranded to Superverse. Check the announcement on their channel. So that rebrand was the big move, and that happened like November 2022. Has been very quiet after that. You know, okay, so Gigamart, there was another project, right, in terms of the NFTs, but yeah, it has been super quiet. Not much going on. There was a big hack, right, in 2023. Okay, we'll focus on gaming, right, again. Let me see if I can find Imposters, the project. Imposters, right there. So I'm actually following it. But then again, last post October 4th, that's like a podcast thing, September, October. Are they playtesting it? They are playtesting it, I assume. But yeah, it's been 2.5 years or 2 years, right, on the beta. I mean, I hope people are enjoying it, but yeah, I'm not too impressed. Of course, what the fuck do I know about developing a game? Probably nothing. I'm curious to see what it would look like. Social Deduction is very, very good narrative. However, it's getting more and more competitive in that type of gameplay as well. My eyes are in Superverse for basically infrastructure tech, Ronin for that same reason. For Superverse, you know, where's the Superverse? Where did the Superverse go? Did I click it away? Let's pull it back up. Superverse. $1.08 at the moment. I don't have high expectations. $2 probably, I'm out, right? I don't need a massive pump. Ronin, I'm willing to hold it much longer. Probably I would go like more significant levels. So 166 is 1.6 bill. So probably I would go like 8 bill, 10 bill. Well, don't forget like the craziness of basically bull runs, right? We take something like a Doge coin from the previous bull run, right? This is like inflation-wise, obviously crazy, but look at this. That all-time high was 5 times higher, so that would have been a 90 billion FDV at the moment if it would hit that price. And there was a lot of hype and craziness around that, but at the same time, euphoric state in the market. Very dangerous. Now, my whole concept, why I showed you these 5 relatively boring projects when it comes to, let's say, standalone gaming tokens that have like a 10 million FDV, that's for a different type of video, right? That's like higher risk, higher reward, different type of budgeting, different type of investor mindset. I will address that in a separate video. In this video, I'm going for the tech foundation, layer of quality tech, give the project something, pull them to your chain, and if they basically go up in FDB, their tokens, right, if they get users, if they get everything they want, right, from FDB to basically user acquisition to brand building, they will feed that back into the chain. That's why a lot of the times these infrastructure protocols have like exclusivity agreements. We help you launch, we help you with all these things, and then you need to stay with us for 1 year, 2 years, 5 years, depending on how much money they also get and how much that is involved. That's a very powerful cycle. They need one thing, right? Tech takes time and a lot of money, usually, if it's on the innovation side. But most of the time, they need time, right? So time is the biggest component. You have to be a patient investor going into these big projects. Obviously, if the market is in your benefit, of course, you will all reap the rewards, but everybody's a genius in a bull run, right? With these projects, make an entry, wait 1, 2, 3 years, and therefore, FDVs might grow gradually over time because of these components. They need games, they need users, they need, integrations. It takes time. But at the same time, in my opinion, they're more of a safe bet, but less significant returns in percentage-wise, more significant returns in numeric value, less risk relatively compared to the smaller gaming projects. So these are my top 5 picks that I'm currently sitting on that are not either Bitcoin, Ethereum, or Solana. Those are the biggest ones. Other than that, these 5 at the moment are my hot picks for the next quarter. In the next video, we're probably going to have a look at some individual gaming projects that are smaller in FDV, higher risk, higher reward. Let me know what you want to see in the next videos in the comments down below. That's everything for today. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next one.